One. All right.
Damn, you waited a long time for that one.
You know what
Letting
it
it
is.
marinate.
You know who it is. We are back with another episode of the BG Perform podcast. Back with my co-host Gerald Hayes. How was the week?
Week was good. Very busy,
I
but
actually haven't
good. We
talked
got
to
a lot
Jerry
going
that
on.
much this week at all. But
Yeah, we were kind of like in our own little separate worlds. So this is a nice little joining moment. I
uh,
got a lot of work done. Got a couple new clients, working on some programming. Got to ride the motorcycle quite a bit this weekend. I told Brandon
beautiful.
yesterday I got to visit the Twin Pines Mall from Back to the Future in real life, so that was cool. It looks almost identical. Besides, Sears is now out of business, so it's not a Sears anymore.
What
Um,
is it?
I don't remember. I have a picture of it. I can check. But the Sears
Check.
isn't there anymore. Um, let me see. But it was cool, man. It was just a small thing, just that shot in the very beginning of the movie. Oh, it's a 24 hour. It's
Oh,
not a
20
Sears
hours.
anymore. It's a
24 hour
gym. Yeah.
fitness.
So, yeah, it was just like the beginning shot of the movie where he like runs up to the Twin Pines Mall and then they go into the future or into the past, and then when they come back after hitting the second pine tree in the past, they come back and now it's the Lone Pine Mall. So just like
Okay.
that singular shot was just cool to see. And just
Beautiful. All right.
continuing to practice on the bike, feeling nice and smooth. What about you? How
Beautiful.
you been?
Ran my first half marathon yesterday.
Yes, he did.
That was a hell of an experience. I actually really enjoyed it. Got destroyed my time. I was expecting to get like an hour and 55 minutes. I finished in an hour and 49.
Hey.
Crushed it. 8 minutes, 8 minute, 16-second pace per mile. It's fucking hauling ass at the end. Had like 8:05 and 8:03 for my last 2 miles, which was at the end of 13 miles was fucking sick to be able to do that. I was huffing and puffing though. Nick was like, Nick was with me, and we were like the neck and neck, and then right towards the end, he started to turn it up, and I just heard him say, "Come on, keep it up," and I was just like, "Yeah." And then I was just like, oh. Nick was like, "I heard you huffing." I was like, "I'm done. I'm just going." I was like, I was like, whatever. So
Did
it
you get
was
the
good.
Jello legs poopy pants when people run the
Uh,
diarrhea running down their legs?
Jello legs, yeah. So I was, I didn't, I had a drink, a Cadence that I was saving for like directly after the race,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't drink it right away. That just didn't like come to my mind because I was just so dead. And I walked back to the car. My legs were like fried, absolutely fried. I walked back to the car, get in there. I told Danielle and my mom to that I would take them to Starbucks after because they woke up early. They were sitting outside. It started snowing yesterday. I go outside like 5 a.m. or I wake up at 5 a.m. I look out the window at like 5:30. Snow, like heavy snow. So we started the race in snow, and then it just kind of turned into rain and cleared up, but it was
It's the
freezing.
perfect
So
texture for running,
yeah, so
if you know that video. But anyway, go on.
I told them I would take them to Starbucks after the race, and Danielle gets out of the car. I was like, all right, cool, I'll come in. I go to take one step out of the car, my entire leg just locked the fuck up, and I was just stuck sitting outside of the car. She was like, "You all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, my leg just cramped. My leg just a little bit cramped." Like whole thing. I've never had an experience where my entire leg cramped. So that was painful. But then I chugged a Cadence and I felt pretty good after that. Then I got some Dave's Hot Chicken. So you know what it
Ooh,
is.
sounds great.
Yeah. But yeah, it's been a busy week, busy couple weeks. Had some things going on. Obviously, talk about that in the future. But CSCS passed that. First half marathon, accomplished that. And I got some projects I'm going to be releasing within the next couple weeks, which I'm really excited about. And yeah, it's going to be good. So today, today we're going to be talking about what made us fall in love with fitness and what sparked that passion for us as coaches and sparked that passion for us as just fitness enthusiasts in general, right? Like what was the thing that made us be like, I want to do this for as long as I possibly can, right? Uh, I think that this is an important topic because I think for me, there's a couple reasons why I fell in love with fitness and when I knew I was gonna I fell in love with fitness and I knew it was gonna kind of be that next thing for me and how I switched everything in my life. and I'm excited to talk about it. So, anything to add to that before I get this timer started?
Let's get into it. I'm excited for this
All
one.
right,
It's gonna be fun.
I'm gonna get this timer started right now. I probably should have done this right before. So
Right
today we're gonna
before.
go with a 25-minute timer. Keep this a little bit shorter. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
Three, two, one, blast off. So,
Blast off.
what, the question is, what was the moment you and I, right? Like, just obviously, me and Jerry are talking about this, but what is the moment you and I fell in love with training? Like, do you remember the exact moment when you were like, this shit's fucking awesome. I want to keep doing this.
I have a couple different ones because one was like less structured, just realizing movement and working out was really fun. And then the other one was when I really had a rhythm going and I was seeing progress, and that sparked like the true jump. So a couple different ones. Was
Okay.
yours like, is it similar or is yours just like one moment?
Mine was, I mean, it's hard because obviously the weight loss sparked a lot of it for me.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a couple times before that when I was working out consistently. There was a couple times I worked out before I actually like lost all the weight. It wasn't like as consistent as I would have liked, but obviously my mom was someone who always went to the gym, and she had some friends who were personal trainers, and they were like, "Oh, if you ever wanted any help, this and that, whatever." So I'd go a couple times, and it was just again, it was just something I didn't really like take care of myself with. And I remember the first couple times I went to the gym, I walked in and I was like, oh, like this stuff seems really cool. But again, I didn't really know how to like use anything. So it was more like me figuring out that process was something that I like enjoyed. But then basically what happened was is as I started to go back and then stop, I kind of just felt like it wasn't for me. And then what I think the biggest moment for me was obviously I started working out pretty consistently with my friends. And I say consistently, but it was like at least once or twice a week we were going to this gym by us called Aframs, and it was like a half soccer place with like a bunch of indoor soccer fields, and like there was a small gym upstairs, and the gym was so bad. Like I remember the gym was like terrible, but like the I don't know what it was, but the cable stacks there just like weren't as heavy. Have you ever gotten like a cable stack that's just like either it's I don't know, like the wires are fucked up or the stacks themselves just aren't that heavy. But we would like full stack plates there or cable machines. So we'd be like rowing and like adding 45s onto the row machine. And it was like again, like I was just like, I don't know what's going on, but I felt like I was getting stronger and I felt like I could see the numbers going up. But like clear as then I went to like another gym and I tried the same thing and I couldn't even move it for like one rep. But like somehow in all of that, like the little pieces of me working out because um this was post like basketball when I had that whole thing happen. I started going to Aframs and like I saw the weights go up like very quickly and like the movements we were doing and then like I said we were like full stack and cable machines and we were doing like decline dumbbell bench press with like 80-pound dumbbells at the time. Like I don't even know
What?
what it was, but we were like,
Or there's
you know,
an ego gym? Like there was just they
no,
had
I was
like
just
fake
like no one
weights?
was in there. Literally no one was in there. It was just like and the thing was we were actually sneaking into the gym. So we weren't like paying for the gym.
How do you
So
sneak
it
into
was
a gym
like
that no one's in? Like what?
well, there was a couple people at like front desk, but it was mostly for soccer. Like there's a lot of people that go in and they were
Oh,
just playing
okay.
soccer. And there was like I remember the front desk was on the right, but there was like a stair set that went all the way upstairs because the gym was on like the second floor. So we would just walk in, just be like, "What's up?" And they saw it. Then like we did it for like a couple weeks, and I think they just saw us enough that they were like, "Oh, they must have memberships." So then finally, this was like a year later. Like a year later, they're like, "Oh, can you guys scan in?" And we're like, "Oh, we don't have a membership." And they were like, "How have you been coming here?" We're like, "I don't know. We've just been walking in." They're like, "All right, well, you can't come here anymore." And we were like, "Fuck." So we just left. But that gym itself kind of like sparked it for me because I saw the weights going up like so quickly. And it was such like again, it was like an empty gym. There was really no one working out up there. So we were just I wouldn't say fucking around, but we were just doing like fun workouts. We were just having fun. We were enjoying ourselves. We were going through the patterns. We were just doing whatever. And that was kind of just like fun with my friends. And I think that was something that made me really interested in taking fitness like serious, right?
Hmm.
But I still, again, at that point, I didn't really commit to it fully yet. It was something where I was just kind of like on and off with it if we had time. And we also weren't going like every day. We were probably going in there like two, maybe three times, 2 or 3 times a week in total.
Hmm.
But I think that that was something where it like again, it just allowed me to kind of go through that whole gym process and be like, all right, like this is cool. I see the weights going up. I feel good. I feel strong. I would say that's probably like the main thing that got me just like things turning in my head to be like, all right, I could do this. Like I could definitely do this, and I could definitely see myself training more often. And
Yeah.
then it obviously led to, one thing led to another. And then during that time was when I started to actually because I couldn't go to Aframs is when I actually signed up for Bally's, and that was probably 2 months before when Bally's used to
Hmm.
be in Crossgates. If anybody remembers that, Crossgates is like our big mall here. Bally's used to be right next to the movie theater, and that gym was just fucking dungeon, my
They
absolute
had like
dungeon.
rusted
But
barbells and shit.
nah, well, yeah, well, kind of. It was like a nice gym, but there was just things that were just absolutely dangerous and definitely needed to be replaced in the gym.
That's how
Like,
the one in Rochester was too.
yeah, the Bally's is like I don't know if you remember see the if anybody ever watched Bro Science, but Bro Science had a video one time talking about like what your gym says about you. And
Yeah.
he always said that Bally says you shank somebody. It just makes
Yeah.
it makes so much sense when you go into the Bally's that I've seen in my lifetime here. In Albany, like you said, the one in Rochester, like they're just dark, dirty places. And the guy that owned the place was actually I don't know what the hell the dude was trying to do, but I guess he was trying to be like a wrestler at the time.
Like
And he called
WWE.
himself he called himself Johnny Jacked Cash. And he was just like, yeah, and he was just like this obese guy who just ran the gym and was an absolute sleazebag. So it was just,
Damn.
yeah, like I guess he kind of like screwed over a bunch of people like inside of the gym because the way he set up contracts and everything. I guess it was a mess. But yeah, so I think that I was probably in Aframs when I decided I was like, yeah, I could definitely see myself working out. But obviously Bally's was when I fully committed to training 100%. Like I think that's when I was like, okay, I'm definitely gonna do this. Like I need to do this. I need to figure out how to do this consistently, and that's kind of where it went. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mine was kind of similar, but like for me, the very first thing I remember I watched Rocky 4 and I couldn't be more pissed off at Ivan Drago for killing Apollo
Not
Creed.
to cut you off,
Spoilers.
but like I've never, I've that's one thing. I obviously the movies I've seen have been very influential for a lot of people, but I've personally never like I don't know that I've had anything like that got me and was like, oh, I need to work out because of the movie. But that's interesting. But go ahead, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I was in like fifth grade, fourth or fifth grade, and I was so mad that Drago killed Apollo. Spoilers, but sorry, the movie's been out since before I was born, so if you
Speaking
haven't
of which,
seen
I
it,
watched
what are you doing?
Happy Gilmore yesterday. Sorry,
Oh,
Chubbs.
Happy Gilmore's a fucking classic. That'll bring out some good motivation for us. He got
Does
my
Chubbs hit?
hand.
Chubbs.
Fucking yeah, his finger. He did Shocker on it. Anyway,
Didn't mean that. Yeah.
we'll switch. But yeah, so that was like one of the first things like I realized like, dude, fitness is really cool. Like I started doing sit-ups and like running and I was obviously a kid, so I was doing like suicides in my backyard trying to be like Rocky and shit. Um, but then when I got to like high school, I was always like growing up, I had like this like I was never like really obese, but I had like that chubby belly like for most of like elementary school into middle school. And then in eighth grade, I got sick for a week, lost 10 pounds, and then I gained like another 6 inches in height after that. I went through like a big puberty growth spurt. So I just like stretched out and then like didn't have that anymore. So from then on, like I was like really thin and I was like, shit, I gotta do something about that. So I started lifting weights in my basement and like I had like a couple sets of dumbbells. My mom got me a home gym for Christmas one year. And talk about janky and like plates that don't move well. This thing would like push out to here and then start to like
Was it like
get
a machine?
resistance. Yeah, the machine like it would like the
Oh,
chest press, I'd push it out like like maybe a quarter of the way from my chest, and then it would hit, and then I'd have to push past like the resistance. It was janky, but it got the job done. And I remember like the entire summer of that uh freshman into sophomore year, I was, or I think it was like sophomore and junior, one of the two. I was working out like every morning, and I was doing the same routine daily, like, and it was all nonsense. Like I do like one, it was not nonsense, but it had no structure. So I would do like a chest exercise, a back exercise. I'd do like leg extension on it. There was no leg curl version of it unless you like stood up and it felt weird. So like I would do like curls, arms, shoulders, whatever, and I'd
But
call it a day and have a protein
isn't
shake.
there what's the word? Like you look back at what you were doing then, right? Like with that
Mm-hmm.
shit, like just not just terrible equipment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how sick it was to just train then. And
Dude, it was
now
so
obviously
fun.
it's like well it's just like I don't know, like that's another thing I've thought about because I always had a gym, but like I remember specifically like some of the best workouts I've had in my life were at the period when I had my little home gym down here in the garage
Mm-hmm.
when I had just left Thrive. Like I remember I had my home gym, I had everything set up, and those were just some of the best workouts. I didn't even have that much equipment, but it was just like to the point, straightforward. You go in, you do what you got to do, and you get out. And like now it's, we go to these huge gyms that have all the equipment and you're just I don't know. I just feel like those types of workouts are just so much better.
It was a lot simpler too because there wasn't as big of a fitness following. There was still a fitness following, but then like around the time that I started getting really serious about fitness and was following programs and like trying to
Well, we were
boost
at
my
the beginning
nutrition,
of it. Yeah, we were at the beginning
yeah,
of it, obviously.
that part was like 2013 when Instagram really started like popping off and like everyone
Yeah.
started doing stuff. You had Bradley Martin come up and everything, but yeah, that when I was just training in my gym or in my home gym in the basement, there's just a basement workout. It's musty down there, sweating like a pig. And I was starting to finally see progress, which was cool. Like my arms were getting bigger, shoulders. It was just nice. It was fun.
Yeah, I think that like that those types of pieces, I think we forget obviously as we get deeper into this stuff how like fun those beginning moments inside of the gym are. But
That's it. Wait, yeah, that's a good point too. Cause like I remember I didn't notice until I saw pictures of me. Cause I was just having fun. I was like, yeah, this is good. I'll get stronger. And then I saw a picture of me and like I was on the Superman at Darien Lake, Six Flags Darien Lake. And I put up like the rock symbol on both arms. And because I was like tensing up from the drop, I was
mhm.
flexed a little bit and I saw the picture of my biceps and I was like, we have to get it. We have to buy it from them. It was like $15 for the picture. I was like, we need it. This is too good.
This needs to be
Mom's
framed.
gonna love this picture. Just get it. Don't ask me why. Just buy it.
I love it. So what do you feel training gave you during that time that like nothing else could? Because obviously training is important, but what do you feel when you found training or when you realized it? Like, 'cause I think part of it obviously is like how it makes you feel, but like obviously it's also the fact of like it made you feel something that nothing else could, that you were like, I need to do more of this, right? For me, I think it was that thing at the time that I knew, like I started to realize like if I wanted to change, it was like right there. Like it was right in front of me and I could do it. And I think sometimes I was having this conversation earlier today, like people want to change and they get overwhelmed with like all the different options. And I think sometimes you just have to like do, right? And I think that
Hmm.
was a big thing for me, or at least for me, I've always noticed is like if I just start doing, I always figure out the way, right? When I stop and I think and I'm like, okay, what what could be next? These are my options. Which one should I choose? I would stop because it's there's so
Hmm.
much to think about, right? But I've noticed when I just have an idea, I try to do something, I just start it, everything flows, everything goes through so much quicker, everything goes through so much faster, and everything just feels like easier, right? And you start to get an idea, you start to get a vision. So like I think one of the things for me with fitness that I didn't get from anything else was just that feeling of like I could control the outcome because I could like almost decide what the outcome was going to be, right? Like if I wanted it to be bigger arms, I could do more arms. If I wanted it to
Hmm.
be, a stronger bench press, I could do more bench. If I wanted to be a stronger squat, I could do more squats. And that started to realize like, okay, I could actually like build something out for myself and have a real program that I could follow it, and like I said, I could get the actual results that I want, and it's up to me how they come. And I think that was one thing that I thought in my life at that time that nothing else was giving me, right? Because it's like I'm going to school, I have a job, I'm figuring out life, and there was so much uncertainty that the only thing that I had from the gym was that it was like, all right, no matter what, I can get everything. I have control. I can show the time I show up, the time I spend there, the exercises that I do, the amount of intensity I put in. If I want better results, I can go harder. If I want to take it easy, I can take it easy. It's all up to me. And that kind of initiated this like responsibility piece in my head.
Yeah, for me it was more like the mental stuff because I was such an angsty teenager. Brandon probably remembers. I would get angry and snap in like a second. It's like a real Irish issue. Um, but that was one of those things like I was always super, super angry and I dealt with like depression through my teen years. And that was the one time that I would do something that felt right and I would feel like strong and healthy. And I remember there was like a moment too where growing up, weirdest thing, because I drink so much of it now, I hated water. I couldn't have water without
Yeah, yeah.
gagging.
I think I
Yeah.
remember. I think I
Dude, I
remember that.
used to like drink green teas at like fucking the soccer practice. Like my friends would make fun of me, like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't, this is for me. But like the uh the one moment I remember I was working out, it was like a spring day, and I was like, dude, I'm so thirsty, and all we had was water. And I was like, well, it's the thing of life. I guess I'll take some. And I took a sip and it tasted good for the first time in my life. And I was like, and I started chugging it and I crushed like one of those little 16-ounce like Wegmans bottles. And then I got another one and I like took a scoop of peanut butter because I was hungry and I was eating and drinking water and I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. And then I started to feel really good all the time and I was like, this is even better than it was before. So I feel like fitness also like, well, not feel like it definitely did correct my nutritional habits because I used to just eat whatever the hell I wanted. I was a kid, you know,
Yeah, I think
but
when you
like
start
it gave me
again, when you
structure.
start working out, you want to like no matter what age, I think everybody does this, it's just about how consistent and disciplined you are. Is
Hmm.
like when you start working out consistently, you want to feel better and you're like, okay, well, if I'm going to start working out, I need to eat better. If I'm going to start working out, I
Yep.
need to drink more water, blah blah blah, this and that. And I think that's obviously what you go through, and that's another huge piece along with like my side of it is control is like you it gave you a sense of like I need to better myself in other areas, right? And
Yeah.
you need to start drinking water. Something as
Yeah.
simple as drinking water.
I remember once I got to like early college too, like freshman year, my high school girl and I had split up like freshman year of college. And I remember that's when I started to like really get into like I did Shortcut to Size when you were doing Shortcut to Shred. And then
Hmm.
I did Big Man on Campus, Steve Cook's program, my all-time favorite from bodybuilding.com. That was the greatest. But like for that, that was one of those things that kept me in check because like I was still kind of angsty even in my late teens and going to the gym like no matter what. I remember my friends went to the movies. They're like, "Yo, we're going at 8:30. You want to go?" And I was like, "Nope, I'm at the gym. Sorry, I can't." And I remember my friend Dylan. I'll never forget. I was warming up because it was the winter and I was on the treadmill and he messaged me about the movies and I said, "I'm at the gym. I can't. I'll be here for like another hour." And he texted me. He was like, "Dude, you've been really disciplined with that. I'm proud of how much work you're putting in. Like I admire it." And I remember in that moment I was like, "Fuck yeah." And then I crushed that workout and I felt amazing. So it's
I
like
think it's
other people
important.
started to notice too.
Yeah, it's important when you have people who support you. But I think that's something, like I said, when you start to see those benefits from it,
Hmm.
like the you know, the things that it gives you, the things that it reveals about yourself is like I can be disciplined, I can be structured, I can be motivated, I can be inspired, that type of thing. Then you can start to carry that like along the path as you go forward. And I think that, just like for me, because I think one of the things that I've noticed too is obviously we just talked about how we loved fitness or how we kind of fell in love with fitness. But I think for me, the moment I fell in love with it, like it was just this kind of continuous like forward growth of it. And it's not been
Hmm.
easy, obviously. Not every day is perfect and not every workout is perfect. And, but pretty consistently, like outside of a couple hiccups and like when I broke my foot, like I don't think I've missed more than a week. Like obviously when I broke my foot, I missed like 3 months. But
Hmm.
even when I've hurt myself outside of that actual thing, and that was the first major injury I had, so I didn't really know how to handle it. You put me in that situation now, I'd still be training every day because I have
Yeah.
a whole, part of my body. But what during outside of that time, I don't think I've missed a workout in close to like, well, let me rephrase. I don't think I've missed more than like a rest day or a period of like a week in like 10 years. And I think it's
Yeah.
just, and again, it's not something that I'm like going 100% like all the time, but it's just the fact that like I love it so much that it makes me feel so good and it makes me feel so proud of the accomplishment and the idea of like I'm going to go and accomplish this workout today. I'm going to go at minimum, right? At bare minimum, it's the first thing I do in the day, or one of the first things I do. And at bare minimum, if it's like the only thing I accomplish that day, I would be happy, right?
Hmm.
Because it's like it makes me feel good, it progresses me. But I guess one of the questions I have next that I want to answer us both is how has your love evolved over the years of it? Like, so obviously you found it in your basement, and then what does it evolve to? That's kind of what it is today. Because it's different, right? Like I would assume it's different
Yeah.
for you, different for me.
I think how it's evolved is it's not so much like when I was younger, it was a lot like I was a skinny kid. I wanted to be bigger, gain some muscle, and that stayed. But a big motivation for me now is just remaining like healthy, moving well. Like growing up, a big reason that I got into fitness too was because like my grandpa had a ton of heart issues, and that's something that stuff can be genetic too. Like it can little complications can be passed down, and like I had like a slight heart issue with tachycardia and all that other stuff. So like with that too, I was like, I'm not gonna risk the chance of dealing with anything bad. So I think now it's more driven by being healthy and remaining healthy, moving well. And on top of that, like I think that I'm really like finding my place in the gym. Not that I didn't know what I was doing before. I'm trying to figure out how to word it. I think that I'm happier with my physique now than I ever have been, especially because I've hit a lot of the goals that I wanted to hit and I'm pain free in a lot of different areas, all areas now. Like I'm not dealing with pain like I used to, which is a really good feeling. So now it's just keep the ball rolling, keep learning, keep helping people, and yeah, I think it's not a ton. It's evolved for sure, but a lot of the same stuff has just improved. What about you?
Yeah, I think for me it's very similar. I think it's more similar in the fact that like I started obviously losing weight. I started, like you said, that confidence piece. I think for me now it's shifted more into like a mastery thing where I've tried so many different aspects of fitness. I've done the weight loss thing. I've done bodybuilding. I've done powerlifting. I've done CrossFit. I've now done a half marathon. I've done what else? I've kind of done like the hybrid between bodybuilding and powerlifting. I've done the hybrid between bodybuilding and CrossFit, like all of it. And I think that for me, it's like I've done so many different pieces that it's shifted less from I don't want to say a workout giving me anything because I think it gives me a lot of structure and it gives me consistency in my life. But at this point, it's more like how can I learn the little details? How can I learn
It's
the
refinement.
nuances of it? Yeah, refinement. Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
it's mastery. I think because just mastery is a value of mine just in my life, and I think that having it is something that gives me purpose to wake up and be like, I want to be the best that I can at this craft, right? Or at what I do. And like I can confidently say I believe I am one of the best and like I still want to get better. There's a lot of different ways I want to get better. I think in specifically coaching, right? Inside of fitness, I think I prove to myself I can be the best in the world because of these pictures right here, right? I don't know if you can see them, but like those types of pictures where it's like I trained the best in the world, I was around the best in the world. But I also think that's not the only thing that goes into like coaching. I think that the other thing that goes into coaching is being able to again coach anybody, right? And I think that for me it's really important to learn the ability to coach, learn the ability to communicate, and I think fitness forces me to be better at that because it forces me to get better, right? It forces me to learn the new details. It forces me to go and test myself in a half marathon, go and test myself in a CrossFit session, right? Those types of things. Or knowing when to kind of bring it back down and dial it back and be consistent, right? And I think one of the things I've always said to myself is that like I'm not in this to like make short term money. I'm not in this for like a shortcut. like anytime I've talked, if you guys have followed me for a long time, if not, since the beginning, I was like, I'll see you in 10 years. Like, I'm gonna aim to be 10 years down the line. I'm gonna keep pushing that 10 years down the line and still be relevant, still be focused, still be committed, still go through that process. And I think a lot of people don't have that. I think a lot of people are just like, what's the quickest way I can get in front of people? What's the quickest way I can make money? What's the quickest way I can get my name out there? And that's where it's like you start to have problems because it leads you into this, almost like this piece. It leads you into this
Hey.
piece that you get lost with it. And I think for me, the way that it's evolved for me is like just from being a beginner in the gym to now trying to become literally like the best in the world at what I do. And it's like it's an everyday journey for me that now gives me purpose. It's my passion. It gives me like a focus, and even everything I do around it is just built around that specifically. And like I said, it's kind of crazy that like I think for me, if it wasn't for training, obviously like I think both of us, right? And I think that specifically Jerry's feeling, I would say you're feeling this now more than ever, right? We don't have to go into detail, but like it being in the gym gives you experiences that you've never thought you'd have otherwise, right? Like you're in, you know, California, you're in LA, right? And me and Jerry talked a long time about, living in a place like that or diving through going through these pieces and learning and traveling and experiencing all that stuff. Like Jerry's, lived in multiple places in the country, and fitness and training and coaching has been a huge, driver in that, right? And even for me specifically, like I've seen the world because of it, and I've been able to go, so many different places because of like the time I stepped foot in the gym. And when I think back to that point, when I think back to like why I love fitness, it was because like this stuff that I just experienced, right? That I've gone through, that I've learned, that we've both been through, and that me and Jerry are going to continue to be through, right? And like, I think even another big thing is like our relationship specifically is I don't want to say based around fitness, but I think our love of it has kept us connected because I think it's really hard in life when you're trying to stay connected with people in your life and you don't kind of have the same interests. And I think that like for us, it's given us uh journey, it's given us experience, it's given us culture, it's given us health, obviously, but also it's given me and Jerry a way to like work together, right? And continue to connect, continue to create, continue to innovate really side by side, even if we're not like right next to each other, right? But it's given us the opportunity to kind of dive in, learn each other, and I would say like Jerry's one of the people I'm closest to in my life, and I think a lot of that is strictly just because we both share interest in the gym. Would you agree?
I'd say it definitely is a big part of it. Yeah. I know that, like, actually, I have a question for you
Yes.
because I have another thing I want to add. Do you remember joining me in one of my basement gym sessions one summer? You stayed at my house for a week in Rochester.
I probably
And
did.
yeah, I remember like you were like, "All right, what do you want to do?" And I was like, "Well, I want to work out in the morning. Like no matter what, I want to get that in." And you're like, "All right, yeah, I'll join you." I remember exactly what you were wearing. You were in basketball shorts that were black and you were wearing an orange t-shirt. Like I remember it like it was yesterday.
I don't remember now.
Oh man. That was I'd like to hope that I was like a little catalyst for you because that was early. We were like
I had a
probably
bunch of catalysts.
14
Yeah.
or
I
15.
I had a bunch of catalysts. I think that
Yeah.
like there's a lot of people, I think we're definitely early. That must have been like super early because
Yeah,
I,
that was like 14 or
I
15.
used to basically every summer I would go stay in Rochester for a week just to hang out with Jerry. So I would
That was
stay
the
at his
greatest.
house for a week. That was like
Yeah.
some of the best times. We would
Especially
stay
when we
up.
got like when I had my license finally and we were like
Yeah,
going
yeah.
places, that was the
Mhm.
shit. That was
That was
fun.
fun. There was a couple good times. I remember we had some, we had some good, I'm just laughing at a joke, but we had a couple like one of my favorite things about being with Jerry is like obviously when we're together, and I used to stay there. I would stay for a week. We would hang out, and then obviously, like he said, when he got his license, we would go and do stuff. We would go work out, pretty regularly at that. I don't know if I was working out regularly at that time, but one of my favorite things was every time before we'd go to bed. We obviously like we'd probably sleep in the living room. We're upstairs in his room when I
Yeah.
stayed. We would be like, all right, good night. And then we would both just start breaking out in laughter and just keep laughing for like 20 minutes after that, just saying the dumbest shit. And then eventually we would both fall asleep. But we had obviously with the all-nighters, beat Tony Hawk,
Oh
like all
yeah,
that
dude.
stuff.
There was
But
one time we stayed up until 5:30 in the morning just beating Tony Hawk Pro Skater
yeah,
3.
yeah,
And my
that
mom
was when
woke
we
up and
were
she was
like,
like, "What are you guys doing?" We're like, "Sorry, we're going to bed. I'm sorry."
yeah, we're
But the,
sleeping right now.
yeah, I'm actually asleep right now.
Yeah.
There's also people don't know like on here. I obviously I'll make jokes and stuff, but I'm an absolute like crackhead with the energy. So like as soon as the lights were out, I'd say something like, I don't know about you, but me and my dad are pretty intimate. Like I'd say things like that out of nowhere in the dark, and it's like, how do you even respond to that? So that's like the type of relationship that we had was just like
Yeah.
messing with each other the entire
But
time.
to kind of bring it back, right, is like that a lot of it was because of fitness. A lot of it
Yeah.
still is because of fitness. And I think that fitness can, if you have those types of people, like for me, obviously it's evolved into that. But I think that from the beginning, it's about that first step of like, all right,
Hmm.
people who take care of themselves, who want to be in that environment, they find themselves. And a lot of my best friendships now are because of the gym, right? Like literally, there's so many things in my life now that like had it not been for the gym, I wouldn't have. And I think people can say that for a lot of things, but I think like for specifically for me, the gym has taught me so much, it's given me so much, and it's allowed me to really kind of find my way in the world. And like that's I think that's initially the the feeling of that possibly happening was like what helped me initially like fall in love with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
know too that like the other point I wanted to make is like we talk about these first moments and you can see like the smiles coming out of Brandon, the smiles coming
Yeah.
out of me. There's something magical about the nostalgia of starting your fitness journey and looking back. And even when we're telling these stories, I'm getting fired up. Like I almost want to go lift right now. And like that's
I
one of
don't.
those things where if you keep that in mind, if you ever like you ever plateau or hit a wall, or especially with motivation, think about why you started. And that's one thing that we've said before. And it sounds cliche, but you seeing the excitement out of us in these little memories. That's all it is. Like we had what 23 30 minutes of discussion and we're
Yeah.
just lit up. I'm fired up. I want to lift right now. It's important to look back and remember why you started.
Yeah, I think it's also like I think it's why BG Perform is what it is. Like that's why I started this. That's why I want to continue to do this. That's why me and Jerry are doing this together, right? And I think that a lot of it is just showing people that it doesn't have to be so, I don't know, serious all the time. Like fitness is to help our lives and make our lives better. But if you so choose, you want to take it to that next level, it's there, right? And if you so choose, you want to use it to enhance little pieces of your life, it's there, right? Like it can give you whatever you want. And I think that for the people that listen to this podcast, fitness can be the catalyst for a lot, right? It can show you a lot. It can take you around the world. It can improve your job. It can improve your relationships. It can literally do so much. So I think that like for me, that's the reason I fell in love with it in the beginning was the thought that like it could happen. But now it's like I've fallen in love with it because it's given me that next level of life, that unlock. It's like, cool, look what I've done so far with it. I can't imagine what else I can do with it just because I decided to step foot in a gym, lose weight, and just kind of trust myself, right? So I think that's it. And I think for me, like that's why BG Perform is what it is. And that's what we try to implement into everything that we do as coaches. We want everybody who comes in to understand fitness on a deeper level, not fall victim to the things that go on in the industry. And also at the end of the day, understand that it's more than just that. Like it can lead to so much
Hmm.
more. Um, but yeah, I think that's it for me. Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah. It was just a fun topic to talk about. Trip down
Yeah,
memory lane. Yeah.
I agree. Um, but yeah, I think like I said, this is a really good episode. I like how this turned out. And if you guys have any questions or you have your own fitness story, I would love to talk about it more. Drop it in the comments. Let us know. And we will see you guys next time. Peace.